Things are starting to dry out in the greenhouse, so did a lap around and saw that my sand trays for my silly little Japanese maple seedlings have gone dry, and the roots are on the verge of being completely dried out. So what I'm going to do is refresh the soil on the trees. Looks like someone knocked into one of the branches and seriously changed the angle. So we'll clean up the sand tray. And the sand tray is just an old nursery pot that, I don't want to call it a nursery pot. One of my suppliers, he starts all his seasonal annuals in these flimsy little plastic trays, and I use them to run on plants and to make sand trays. This is a succulent, some form of sedum that I have in the greenhouse that decided to pay a visit, and I'm not going to object to him being here. Okay, so got some moss. Moss loves sand, at least in my greenhouse. They love to grow in sand. So that one's tidied up. Clean this one up. Got some grasses, got some moss, got some Japanese maple leaves. Wonder where they came from. This one's still moist, so that's nice. Alright, so get rid of the moss, fluff them up. Probably we'll add a fresh layer of sand. Now the sand that I use here is kind of expensive and it's kind of stupid for me to use it, but I do it anyway. It's pool filter sand. And the reason I'm fond of pool filter sand is because it's relatively clean and uniform in terms of the grains, whereas if you buy something like all-purpose builder sand, you'll get all kinds of interesting debris in there. Now my normal mix is not fine enough to go in this size container. So what I'm going to do is screen my regular mix through this dollar store strainer into my dollar store shoebox, and the stuff that stays behind I'll put in the regular mix. Anything that passes through this mesh I will use for the bonsai. I'm not trying to force anything, just want to let it work its way through. I'm not looking for anything big. I'm looking for really fine particles, especially in something as tiny as this. I can't afford to have giant clumps of perlite or twigs or whatever other debris they got floating around in here. So I think you can see how fine this is. So soft. Now let's take a look at the roots on this guy. Well, first let's fix that branch. I know, it's crazy to have wire on a tree this small. So, tease out the roots. And these roots are on the dry side. My soil's moist, so I'm not panicked about anything. So, this pot has got to be over 30 years old. My instructor used to carry these at the old juice on, and then I bought a whole bunch of them back in the day. So, I'm looking at the sides. I've got a little imperfection there. I could either use it or hide it. Got a little imperfection there. So, put the drain screen down. Nice layer of my very, very soft, very, very fine, very, very fluffy mix. Look for my front. So I've got this crazy root here. I must not have wanted to remove him before, so he can hang around for another season. So tuck the soil in and around the roots. So, need to think about where the front of this tree is. Bring that up. Now that extra loop of wire is there so that this year, as the tree puts out new growth, I can train it into that wire and not have to add any new wire. One of the tricks you can use is run your wire around a bamboo skewer, and then you can thread the tree through the wire. So back in his little sand tray he goes, nestle him in, and then I'll water everything. I'll water the roots, and I'll water the sand tray. And that's what you do every morning. You water the entire sand tray so that the roots can go out of the drain hole and into the sand looking for moisture, and that will buy you some time throughout the course of your day. You know, if I was like Count Matsudaira and had a collection and a number of servants who could go out there and give the plants the water they need in the middle of the day, I wouldn't have to do that. But I'm not Matsudaira. So, I need to fluff up these roots a bit. Not upset with the moss, don't really care that it's there, and it'll be back, so I'm not getting worked up about, look at that root dangled around inside there. Alright, so I'll give that a little snip, and this one is just silly. I like them. That crazy curve. So same thing as before. Layer of soil. Put him on top. I wasn't particularly paying attention to the pot on this one. Now when you have a hexagon or a octagonal container or even a circular container, you need to find the front. Now you can plant on the corner or you can plant on the flat. I'm going to plant on the flat. And I'm also going to snip a couple more roots. Go back to my super fine sifted soil. So now it's just grains of sand, really, really fine peat moss, perhaps some micronutrients. And then we'll nestle him in to the sand. May put some more sand around him, but water the whole thing in and then decide, you know, I like that curve. Do I want to enhance that? I think I do. So I'm going to use 1.5 millimeter wire to make a little bit of a change on the thicker part, and then I'll probably switch to the 1 millimeter. So I want to follow that curve. Now, something this tiny, got to be careful. You can snap it in half very easily, and I'll have to keep an eye out for wire scarring. So a little S curve there, and then we'll put a piece of 1 millimeter piece of 1 millimeter here. Let it double back on itself. Soil. Got it in the sand tray. Oh no. What will I do? And we'll water it in. Probably build up some more sand around it. Maybe put another of these rectangles under it, since this one seems to be starting to split. So go play with your trees, have fun, be silly. Don't worry about what anyone thinks unless you're entering a competition. I'm waiting for the people for the ethical treatment of trees to come after us. So do the like, subscribe, comment, question, request thing, and in the meantime, go play with your trees.